Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's sound is working now. So, welcome to this Arts and Disability Connect information session. We're delighted to have, there's around 30 of you watching and listening today. But we're even more delighted to be offering a second round of funding this year. So before I begin my presentation, our Executive Director, Cormac Leonard, would like to say a few words. So Cormac. Oh, you're not, you're on mute.
And I just want to make one minor adjustment to my camera because I couldn't even see myself there. I was so bright. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Cormac Leonard, Executive Director of Arts and Disability Ireland. Amie, thank you for the intro. And as I say, it's lovely to be with everyone this morning. This is a first for Arts and Disability Ireland in a number of ways. As Amie's already said, this is a second round of funding. We started managing Arts and Disability Connect on behalf of the Arts Council back in 2014. And 2020 is the first year where there are two rounds of funding available. And in fact, the funding that's available in the second round will match what was available in the first round earlier on this year. So there is another €39,000 in funding available for new work, mentoring and training awards. And obviously during her presentation, Amie will explain that in great detail to you all. I suppose the other thing that makes this unique is normally Amie would be heading around the country to do information clinics in different parts of Ireland. And every year we try to get to different parts of the country. But this year, because of COVID-19, for the first time, all our information clinics for Arts and Disability Connect are being delivered via Zoom. So there's this one, which is a general information clinic, which will be followed by specific information clinics on new work, mentoring and training awards. And again, Amie will give you more details about those if you don't know them already. As I say, Arts and Disability Connect is funded by the Arts Council, to whom we are really, really grateful and feel very privileged to actually manage the scheme on their behalf. And as I say, we've been doing that since 2014. Just a little bit about Arts and Disability Ireland. We are the National Resource and Development Organisation for Arts and Disability in the Republic of Ireland. We say we champion the creativity of artists with disabilities, promote inclusive experiences for audiences, and do this in partnership with the arts sector. And I suppose today is all about championing the creativity of artists with disabilities, and Arts and Disability Connect is a centerpiece of that. I will be in the background until the end and may at some point participate in the Q&A if required. I just want to thank the Arts and Disability Ireland team. That is Amie, who's going to be delivering the presentation, Ramona Mulcahy, our General Manager, and Sheila Stewart, our Event Manager, all of whom are kind of managing aspects of this presentation today. And obviously we have the other people that Amie has also thanked, our sign language interpreter and speech to text, and our sound recordist as well. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Amie, and I hope you find the presentation useful. And do remember that we are here as a team to support you right up until the deadline on the 19th of October.
Arts and Disability Connect is a funding scheme for artists with disabilities, and I will say this several times during this presentation. The deadline is the 19th of October at 4 p.m. And as Cormac said, up until that point, you can have conversations with us, send us emails, request a phone call, and we can chat through aspects of your application. All of the application forms, the guidelines, and the frequently asked questions for this round can be downloaded at adiorts.ie/connect. This is what the site looks like when you land on it. And essentially, you'll just need to scroll down and you will see a series of Word docs to download and read through. There's lots of useful information on this page on our website. I'll talk a little bit about some throughout the presentation. So who is the scheme for? So it's, as I said, it's an Arts Council scheme for artists with disabilities. It's managed by Arts and Disability Ireland, as Board said. So it's for individual artists with disabilities working in architecture, circus, dance, film, literature, music, opera, street arts and spectacle, theatre, traditional arts and visual arts. It's for artists who are living in the Republic of Ireland, and it's also for artists who haven't received Arts Council funding for the activities that they're applying for. So I should also say that throughout this presentation, I'm going to read through all of the slides. I'm going to do my best to give brief image descriptions. And what I'll be talking about is what the scheme is, who it's for. I'm going to talk through each of the award types. So the Training Award, Mentoring Award, and New Work Award. I'm going to share examples of artists who have received those awards and the projects that they have completed. And I'm going to go through some frequently asked questions to kind of get you thinking about the types of questions that you'd like to ask us later on in the questions and answers segment. So yeah, as I'm going through this, just be thinking, are there any questions that you want to ask us? So another question is, how do I know I'm eligible to apply? The Arts Council and ADI, we take our definition of disability from the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So it states, persons with disabilities include those who have long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairments which, in interaction with various barriers, may hinder their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. So you'll see this in the form, and you'll be asked to make a declaration. Using this definition, are you a person with a disability? And you must tick either yes or no. And if at any point you want to have a chat about your eligibility, feel free to do that with us. So as Cormac said, we're very excited to have another €39,000 available in the second round of the Arts and Disability Connect scheme in 2020. And we're hoping to award a maximum of 14 artists awards this year again. We've already had 14 earlier this year. They're working away on their mentoring and training and new work projects. Great. So for this round, the timeframe is straightforward. So the funding may be used between January 2021 and December 2021. So the dates in your application and in your proposal must be no earlier than the beginning of January this year, and your projects should be completed by the end of December in 2021. So Cormac did mention public health advice on COVID-19. So we are asking applicants to make their applications considering current advice. And if you would like to do a scenario A, scenario B planning, feel free to do so, but please just understand that we're going to take the applications at the time when they were submitted. The panel will make their decisions. And if health advice does change, if you're awarded funding and you need flexibility around time, we can talk about that. So just to put your minds at ease. So I'll talk about the training award first. So this is an award of up to €1,000. It's for artists at all stages of their careers who want to take part in training, workshops, courses, or other professional development opportunities. So it's an opportunity to learn new skills, develop your practice, and participate in training days, short courses. There could be master classes, professional development opportunities like residencies. The other thing that you can consider is developing strategic relationships or contacts with other artists and arts organizations. That could be attending a series of online events for networking, which is probably a bit more realistic at the moment, or in person, whatever. And I'm just going to give you an example now. So Anya O'Hara is a multidisciplinary artist, designer and theatre maker based between Dublin and Mayo. Anya received an Arts and Disability Connect Training Award in 2020. And her training award was she's going to attend a 2-day workshop on graphic design for filmmaking by Annie Atkins. And this is to further develop both her film and theatre practice. And we have an image of Anya here. And so this is a person with fair skin wearing a red shirt, natural makeup, dark hair with an undercut at the sides, a bun on the top of her head with curls flowing down her forehead. I'll just give you another example of the type of work that Anya does. So this is an image from GAA Mad by Anya O'Hara and Vicky Curtis at Bewley's Cafe Theatre as part of Dublin Fringe Festival in 2019. And this is an image it's on a stage. There are two people. One is wearing a Dublin jersey and has their hands on their knees, their mouth open, expression is very lively. The other person is wearing a Mayo jersey, the fist raised and a very pained expression on their face. Either side of them are towers of plain cardboard boxes, some stools, and behind them on a clothesline are hanging some GAA flags, and the backdrop is like tinsel or beads, silvery beads flowing down from the ceiling to the floor. So Anya will be joining us, well, she'll be joining me for one of the next information sessions, which will focus on the training award, and she will talk to us about her experience of making an application. And also at the moment, you can read a Meet an Artist interview on our website with Anya if you want to know a little bit more. And we're delighted that she's going to do an Instagram takeover, which Sheila has been working on with her over the past while. And that will be happening very, very soon. Another example of the training award is Carol Garvey. And this is an image of Carol in his studio standing beside his artwork called Droichead Áha. So he's in a white-walled studio space. There's a trestle table. He's a man in his 30s wearing jeans and a navy t-shirt. the artwork that's on the wall is really large black and white charcoal drawings. So Carol made a very straightforward application. He applied to attend several drawing master classes and workshops. So he attended life drawing classes at the RHA in Dublin over a period of time. And he also attended a weekend drawing course at the Byrne College of Art. Another example of a training award is Tiernan Jones. This is Tiernan performing at the Set Theatre for First Fortnight Festival 2020. And so here we see Tiernan is a man in his 30s. He's playing a clarinet with his eyes closed, standing in front of a mic stand on stage. He's wearing a black suit, and there's a blue backdrop. So Tiernan wanted to work with jazz musician Carol Nelson on several different things. He wanted to improve his repertoire. He wanted to work on his performance with an accompanist pianist. And also he wanted to do some work towards his grade 8 exams. So very straightforward things. I'm going to move on to the mentoring award. So in the mentoring awards, you can apply for up to €2,000, and it's for artists at all stages of their career who want to work with a mentor. During mentoring, the artist identifies a problem in their practice they'd like to solve, and both the artist and the mentor work together to find solutions. It's an opportunity to critically reflect, discuss, experiment with aspects of your practice, and you can explore alternative approaches to making and presenting work. Also, mentoring, there's a lot of to and fro, so you share information and advice and context with each other. So this is our example. So Suzanne Walsh. So Suzanne Walsh is an artist and writer who works with music, performance and text. Suzanne received an Arts and Disability Connect Mentoring Award earlier this year. Suzanne will work with writer Christophilus Macris while she focuses on her poetry practice and explores publication possibilities. And we have an image of Suzanne here. She's a woman in her 30s with short black hair. She's reclining on a couch, very relaxed. There's sun in the background, and she's looking down at the camera. This is an example of Suzanne's work. So this is Suzanne performing Listen, Hissen, Hessen, response to the Passion according to Carol Rama of IMA. It's an image of Suzanne crouching on the floor of a gallery space. There are artworks on the wall. She's holding a mic. There's equipment on the floor, a laptop, cables, leads, a bicycle wheel. And there is an audience sitting very close to her on the floor. It's a small, compact space. Oh, sorry, I should say that Suzanne will be joining me to talk about the Mentoring Award next week. And details of that will be in the chat. Also, there's a Meet an Artist interview for Suzanne if you want to find out a little bit more. All of these artists, most of them have websites. I encourage you to check them out. Another example of mentoring awards is Karina Dine. This is an image of Karina exploring shadow puppetry from 2019. And Karina worked with her mentor, Emma Fisher. And Karina wanted to look at her practice with the lens of understanding that her impairment was changing and evolving. So she wanted to look at working in puppetry through film, but also in looking at shadow puppetry for the first time. So this is an image of Karina, who has an overhead projector on her lap as she's reclining, and she has a paper cutout of a person who's a wheelchair user and also some foliage. She's creating some shadow puppetry. Another example of a mentoring award is Sahaja Budzilla, and this is an image of Sahaja. And in the foreground, blurred, is his sculpture work called Well Born from earlier this year, I think. So Sahaja worked with painter Brian Maguire, and Sahaja had very specific things that he wanted to work with Brian. So he wanted to look at the artwork that he's been making over the past few decades. And he wanted to kind of see where his focus might go in the next couple of years. Also, Sahaja had just moved over from the UK to Ireland very recently with his partner, and he wanted to try and figure out how he could make his practice sustainable here in Ireland. He wanted to make connections with other artists. It happened that Sahaja watched a documentary that was on RTE about Brian Maguire's work with people in prisons and art making. Brian has a very specific way of talking about art, which is very down to earth, and also he really likes working with outsider artists. And Sahaja really thought that this might be a good idea. So he approached him, and they've had a wonderful mentoring relationship. So I'm going to move on to the New Work Award. So you can apply for up to €8,000. Now, this award is for established artists with a strong track record in their professional practice. And the idea is that you would work with an arts partner to develop new work and present this new work in established arts organisations, arts festivals, or arts centres or festivals to an audience. And that's the important thing. So one of the questions that we get a lot about this award is, what is the role of an arts partner? So the arts partner will support the applicant to present their new work to an audience, include this project in their programme. Sometimes they provide financial and marketing support. In some cases, they may also collaborate with you during the development phase of the project. Arts partners can be places like art centres, festivals, production companies, ensembles, professional producers, directors, curators, or choreographers. Essentially, somebody with the skills and expertise to support you to get this new work to an audience. That's the important thing. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of new work. So Emily Conway is a jazz singer, composer and lyricist based in Dublin. So Emily received an Arts and Disability Connect Training Award in 2018 and 2019. And this year, she also received a New Work Award, which is great. So in partnership with the Improvised Music Company and with the support of Darren Skippy Productions and Dublin City Council Culture Company, Emily is going to develop, compose, write and perform a new jazz theatre performance, which will be based on her experiences as an artist with a vision impairment. So here we have an image of Emily. So she's a woman in her 30s, fair skin, blonde hair, blonde short hair. She's holding a mic. She's on a darkened stage. She's spotlit, and she has a big, broad smile on her face. This is another image from Emily. So this is her performing Dear World. Emily Conway sings Alec Wilder at JJ Smith's from 2015. And Emily stands on stage wearing a V-length peach dress. Her eyes are closed. She's singing into a microphone. And behind her are 4 musicians who are all men. There's a pianist, a double bassist, a kit drummer, and a saxophone player. Emily will be joining me on Thursday this week to talk through the New Work Award and her experience of applying. We'd really encourage you, if you think that you are eligible to apply for a New Work Award, do join us. Come ask us both questions. It might be a really good opportunity to get your ideas flowing. Another example of a New Work Award is Yvonne Condon. This is her installation at the Everyman Theatre in Cork, and it was part of The Magic of Cinema, which was a film by Linda Curtin. And so in this image is a theatre space with stalls and a balcony, and in each of the seats are colourful, bold portraits of people in an illustrative painting style. Yvonne took the opportunity in her New Work Award to really think big, literally. So Yvonne will be doing a large scale outdoor painting in the city of Cork, and hopefully we'll have details for you in the coming months about where that's going to be. But Yvonne is currently studying the cityscape, and she's working through her ideas for what she's going to show the people of Cork. Yvonne's arts partners are the Cork Supported Studio and the Crawford Gallery of Art, and also she will be receiving some support from Cork City Council, just to give you an idea. So the next example of new work is Anya Stapleton, and this is an image of Horrible Creature, which was a work in progress showing at Dance House by Anya Stapleton. So in this image, we can see Anya is to the left, she's kneeling on the floor, she's wearing a knee-length dress, she's a blonde woman in her 30s, and she's facing a seated audience. There's approximately 25, 30 people. This is all in one of the studios, which is in Dance House on Foley Street. So for Anya's New Work Award, she had been doing copious amounts of research on Lucia Joyce, who was incarcerated by her brother. She was a modern dancer and an artist in her own right. And Anya became fascinated with how her story had been squashed by the Joyce family and how her mental health was addressed publicly. And so Anya, for years and years, was researching about Lucia. And in her New Work Award, she took the opportunity to put that research to good use to make a new piece called Horrible Creature about Lucia's life. Anya got the opportunity to work with another dancer for the first time. So she was not just choreographing for herself, she was choreographing for another dancer, and that was Sarah Ryder. She also, so her arts partners were Dance Ireland and also the James Joyce Centre. Since that, Anya went on to apply for project award funding through the Arts Council for a dance film called Horrible Creature, and you can read more about that. Anya has a Meet an Artist interview on our website. You can check that out. I'm going to move on to some frequently asked questions. And this is to kind of warm you up, to kind of think about more questions that you might ask us. Hopefully you've got a few in mind. That would be great. Okay, this is the question I get asked a lot. Who has been funded by Arts and Disability Connect? So 75 awards have been made to artists with disabilities through the scheme since it began in 2014. And all of the successful artists are listed on our website at adiarts.ie. Also on that page, when you click on previous awardees and a plus sign, you can see a full list of the artists, and you can click on the names to read a short description of what they were awarded funding for. It's a little piece of handy inspiration. I use this list all of the time to remind myself of all the amazing things that artists have been up to. Another question is, what chance have I of being awarded funding? So it depends. The amount of applications we receive and the amount of words we have on offer change from year to year. And I say this, and I know it's crude, but if you're not in, you can't win. So another thing we would always say is each application you make will inform you to make better applications in the future. A little tip: if you do make an application and you're not successful, you should ask for feedback. And it might take a little bit of time for whoever is managing the scheme to put that information together, but do ask. Equally, if you are successful, you can always ask for feedback too. It can be useful to know what you did right, and if there were any weaknesses, it can be helpful. So just to kind of give you a sense, in 2015, we had 26 applications and 9 awards were made. In 2017, we had 24 applications and 11 awards were made. 2019, we had 38 applications and 14 awards were made. So it kind of varies between you have a maybe 25% chance. Sometimes, some years it's 50%, some years it's like 37, 38. It really does depend, and it's worth your while making an application. So, can I get feedback on draft applications? Yes. Yeah, you can book in applicant support up until the 14th of October. So this is for up to 1 hour of support. It can be a combination of on phone, Zoom, or by email. It depends on what you prefer. And during this applicant support, we can review a draft application and make suggestions to you. You do need to book it in, as I said, and to do that, you can email me. So my email address is Amie, AMIE, @adiarts.ie. So I'm gonna wrap up in just a couple of minutes. So I have talked to you about what the scheme is, who it's for. I've hopefully described the different types of awards to you. So the training award, the mentoring award, the new work award. Gone through some frequently asked questions. I'm hoping you've got loads of questions in your head now that you're going to type away in the chat box or raise your hand. So all of the applications will be submitted through WeTransfer, which is a website, file sharing website. There are detailed instructions in the application forms about how to do that. If you haven't done it before, I'd suggest doing a test with a friend just to see how it all works in advance of the deadline. If you do have any problems making an application, technically you can drop us an email or request a call and we'll work through that with you. Another piece of advice would be when you're selecting your supporting material, like your CV, your images of your work, examples of your work, be sure that it relates to your proposal. Understand that not all of the panel members who are making the funding decisions, they won't know who you are. That should always be your default. So describe everything from the beginning, who you are, what you're about, what you want to do. In particular for new work applicants, there's one video I'd really recommend that you watch. Artside Men in the UK, they have a wonderful video about getting started on making budgets. There's some wonderful descriptions of how a budget actually is part of the narrative of your project It's part of the narrative of your project description. your project proposal. I'd really recommend it. I think the link is in the chat. And I am going to just remind you that the deadline is the 19th of October at 4 p.m. You can contact any of us, any of the team at ADI with any questions. I do manage the scheme and deal a lot with people one-on-one, and I'm really happy to chat to anyone who has ideas or concerns or questions even after this presentation. If you are interested in applying for a specific award, do think about registering for the follow-up information sessions this Thursday, Tuesday next week, and Thursday next week. All the links are in the chat. And I'm just going to do some wrap-up things before we go into the Q&A. One last tip. Before making an application, do read the guidelines. They're very useful. They will make sure that your ideas, that there's no little details that will make you ineligible to apply. They're really useful documents. Really encourage you all to read through the guidelines for the award that you're applying for. Now, okay, going to do something nice. These are some words from an artist who received several different awards. So this is from Mairead Folan, who's the director of No Ropes Theatre Company, based in Galway. And Mairead received an Arts and Disability Connect New Work Award in 2018 and Mentoring Awards in 2017. And she's currently working at the moment on her Mentoring Award from earlier this year. So Mairead says, my advice for any present or future recipients of Arts and Disability Connect: think big, go out of your comfort zone, and the rewards will be in reach. Mairead's fab. So I'm just going to do some thank yous before we do questions. So I'd really like to thank Cormac Leonard, our Irish Sign Language interpreter, being with us here today. I'd like to thank Kathy Ryder from Michler Text, providing speech to text. I'd like to thank Alex Fernie from Atlantic Audio. As always, a big thank you to the team at Arts and Disability Ireland. So Port Nocton, our director. Ramona Mulcahy, our general manager. And Sheila Stewart, our event manager. Thank you all so much for watching and listening to the presentation. Appreciate your time. And lastly, I'd really like to thank Anne O'Connor and Karen Whelan at Arts Council, who work tirelessly behind the scenes with us on the Arts and Disability Connect scheme. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter and on Instagram, and all of our handles are here on the presentation. My email address is here, amie@adiarts.ie. You can also reach most of the team on info@adiarts.ie. A big thank you, and now we're going to enter into the questions part. Hi, Sheila.
Hi, everyone. Sorry there. We have loads of questions coming through, which is fantastic. Yes. However, I might ask everyone if you don't mind putting it into the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. It just makes it that little bit easier to moderate, if you don't mind. But anyone who did put a question into the chat, don't worry, we will get to it. It just might take me a second. Okay, so just to kick things off, one question is to talk about a little bit more mentors from outside of the UK. I believe someone mentioned working with a mentor in New York or in the UK. Is that possible? Could you explain or give more details on that, please?
Okay. So This is an unusual year for the scheme, as in, so for the mentoring award, normally there would be 6 mentoring meetings. 3 of those would have to be face to face. But because of public health advice, we understand that people might not be comfortable with doing one-on-one meetings at the moment. So the purpose of the scheme overall is to connect you as an artist living in the Republic of Ireland, to connect you in with the infrastructure in the arts in Ireland. So a really strong application would be with a practitioner or somebody who you want your mentor to be, who would be very involved in the Irish art scene and who probably would be based here. But that being said, there is a little bit of a loophole this year, in that it could be possible for you to make an application with someone, with a mentor who isn't based in Ireland, but a part of your application should really be focused on you connecting in with the Irish art scene overall. So if you want to have if you've got really specific idea of who your mentor is and you know where they're based and you're asking these are little grey areas for us, we can tease it out and I can give you a sense of what a panel might think about an application like that. Okay. Hope that answered that.
And I suppose continuing on that kind of question, the next question is, do you have to select a mentor to put forward for the mentor award? And is there an expectation on their skill set?
Yes. So you have to identify a mentor you want to work with. You have to know that they have the expertise and will be able to give you the support that you need to address the problem that you want to work on in your mentoring award and in your mentoring process. If you want suggestions, a good thing would be to drop an email, give me an example of, what questions are you asking through the mentoring process? What problems would you like to solve? If you have any ideas of artists who maybe tentatively you think you could work with, and we can have a chat and maybe I'll be able to put you in touch with somebody else who might be a potential mentor, but also who might give you suggestions for someone who would be a good fit. Does that answer that? There were 2 parts to that question. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so. And if not, by all means, just let us know and we can explain a little bit further. I suppose next question is, can I apply as someone with profound dyslexia?
Yes, of course, yes. If you identify as having a disability, you're eligible to apply. If you're a professional artist, who's over 18, living in the Republic of Ireland, you're not in undergraduate education this year, you're eligible to apply. You need to be working on one of those 11 art forms that the Arts Council support that were listed in the presentation. One of if you have access requirements relating to your dyslexia, come have a chat to us about that. For example, you can submit alternative formats, so you can submit your application as an MP3. In particular, we thought of that for people, might be useful for people who have dyslexia. Equally, if you're an ISL user and you prefer to submit your application in a video, you can do that. So if you know what your access requirements are to make an application, we can tease that out together. If that's helpful.
And the next question ties in nicely with this again. Is applying for an application like pitching your idea with a PowerPoint display so you can visualize it?
You can definitely submit a PowerPoint with images that back up your proposal. It's preferable for us to have the images themselves, because we can't guarantee that people would have the software to run the PowerPoint, but you could you could try it. It's not great for video. For people, it would be images only, text only. And you would need to bear in mind that the panelists will have a certain amount of time to go through each application in advance of the panel. So you want to make sure that the images or the text or the PowerPoint presentation is really succinct, relates back to your proposal, and gives a good sense of you and your work.
Okay, so there's 2 more questions from one of our attendees. I was wondering if you could put as a mentor a professional mentor, i.e. someone who is a curator, writer, and generally practitioner who is on the curatorial side of visual art.
Yes, so in terms of a visual artist making an application, a curator as a mentor would be fabulous. If you have someone in mind, definitely approach them. Just somebody you've worked with in the past who you really get on with, and you think you could learn that they have something to offer you, and you have something to offer them. Yep, that sounds good.
And can you work with more than one mentor if there are 2 aspects of your practice you are trying to address?
Yes, technically you can, and people have in the past. There would need to be a lead mentor in a sense, so somebody who's going to guide you through the whole process. But we have had artists who have, say they've had a lead mentor, but they've also set up other meetings with other practitioners, other people who have the answers to the problems that they want to solve as part of their mentoring application. The only issue is, so with the mentoring award, it's split in 2. So there's up to €1,000 for the mentors' fees and expenses, and there's up to €1,000 for the artist fees and expenses. So you would need to think about how, if you were going to work with 2 mentors, how is the budget going to work for that? But yes, the answer is technically yes, you can, and you can have a chat about it if you have something specific in mind.
And the next question then, I suppose I should have asked earlier on because it really sets the context, is how do I know that a mentor is going to be suitable, or a mentor or an arts partner is going to be a suitable fit for me?
So you will, but for both of those applications, you do need to have a robust conversation in advance of making your application. So if you are going to somebody who you've never worked before as a mentor, you would need to have a conversation with them about your practice, about what you're hoping to achieve. And from those conversations or from those emails, you should get a sense if you're going to be able to work through 6 meetings over a period of 6 months together. Suss them out, because it does need to be a good fit for you. We've been very lucky, in particular with all of the mentoring awards that we have had in the scheme, but also for a mentoring program that we ran with Fire Station Artist Studios. So people selecting their own mentors, they all got on really well. In the case of Fire Station, we actually match-made people as part of that program, and that also worked really well. So it's been quite successful. But do have a conversations, get a feel for them, a feel for how you might work together. You do need to talk about like boundaries and what you are going to explore, and time limits and all that sort of stuff. You get a sense of them. And equally for an arts partner, really, like, you need to be thinking about, well, how is this organization or person, how are they going to support me while I'm creating a new body of work? How are they going to help me reach an audience? People are very upfront about what they're going to offer in kind, if they're going to offer any money towards the budget. But it does involve, you do need to build a relationship both with your mentor and with your arts partner. And actually equally for a trainer, if you're planning to work with someone one-on-one and tailor make a specific training program just for you, if it's in relation to your access requirements or just about your practice, it's always good to have a conversation, get a feel for them, and see if you guys can work together. Hope that was useful.
Do I need a medical cert to prove my disability?
No. We don't ask you any questions about your disability. We ask you to sign the declaration within the application form. The only other question that we do ask is in relation to your access requirements. So if you have any particular barriers that would stop you from making your training awards, your mentoring award, or new work award, we would like to know about them, how you're going to address them, what kind of support we can give. But really, we don't ask details about people's disabilities, about their impairments. And if it's part of your practice, if your lived experience of your disability is part of your work and you want to talk about that in the proposal, cool, that's great. But if you just want to talk about the artwork, that's great. Yeah.
For the new work award, how is your track record defined? Do you have to have a minimum amount of productions?
It depends. So say productions, so in the performing arts, you would need to have presented your work to an audience in some way, shape or form. You would need to have been, you would need to have an established theatre practice. So if you're a playwright, you would need to have several scripts that you could show us. You would ideally have had a company work with you on a production. You would need to show us through your CV and through the examples of your work that you have an established practice, that you have a track record, that you have had your work seen by an audience, that other arts organisations and funders have been supporting you in some way. That would be an example for theatre, because you said the word production, so I'm presuming it's possibly that. And if it's not, we can have a chat. If you're in doubt about whether or not you might be seen as an established artist in your art form, then you can come and have a chat with one of us. You can send us your CV, talk to us about your work. If you have a website, you can show us that. But you need to have had your work in your art form seen by an audience and supported by the art sector.
Could you actually walk through the submission process? So, how you use WeTransfer, how does that work?
Okay. So when you have filled out your application form, your Word doc is finished, you have your CV, you have your supporting documents, so you have examples of your work, whether it's your writing, whether it's images of your work or videos of your work. You have to send the video files themselves. Please don't rely on links. We can't guarantee that panelists will always have access to the internet when they're reviewing applications. So you have all of your application ready to go, and then you go to WeTransfer.com. There are step-by-step instructions, which actually I might just pull up and read, if that's okay, because so you have all of your materials together, and so you have your completed application form. You need your signed signature page. You have your CV and the CV of your trainer, your mentor, or your new work arts partner. You have a letter of commitment, which is from the mentor or the arts partner, or you have a letter confirming your place for the training. And you have examples of your work and a list of these files that you're about to submit. That's really important for us, so that we can double check that what you think you've sent, you have sent, and we will let you know if you haven't. Then you go to WeTransfer.com, and I'll just talk you through the steps there. So you go to WeTransfer.com, you add your files, you select all of the files that you want to submit. In the email to bar, you put my email address, so amy@adiarts.ie. In the your email bar, you put in your own email address. In the message bar, you would put Arts and Disability Connect, mentoring application, and your name. And then you click transfer. So what happens after that is WeTransfer will send you a verification code. and you have to enter in this code when prompted, and you click verify. And then you'll receive a confirmation email from WeTransfer saying the files have been sent. And when the files have been downloaded on our end, we will also send you an email. It's possible that we might be in touch with you if there are any issues with your application, and we can talk about that again as well.
So we have 2 questions remaining.
Yeah.
If everyone's happy to stay on just a couple more minutes, we might, because they're very good questions actually, and I think they would benefit others. Is music production considered an art in the program? More specifically, working in the recording process of music production?
No, I would say not. So it is, you need to be creating music to be eligible to apply for the scheme. Does that answer the question? Can you let us know if it doesn't, and I will have a little think, and maybe we can draw in the colleagues if it doesn't.
Yeah, or we can continue it, in an email or a separate call as well. Yeah. So one more question came too. So that's actually 2 more, but they're very short questions. If you want to share video links on YouTube, can you just copy and paste them into a document? I know this comes up a lot.
No, don't do it. It's too much of a risk. So you can put them in, but we cannot guarantee that the panelists will be able to look at the videos online. You should submit the actual video files within the 2 gigabyte limit of the WeTransfer.
And last question of the day.
Yeah.
For a training award, do you need to have a track record, or can you be developing a hobby?
So this scheme is for people who consider themselves to be professional artists. If art making is a hobby for you and that is only where it will go, then this isn't the scheme for you. It's not the right starting point for your arts journey. The scheme is really for individual professional artists who see themselves working as an artist. I hope that answers the question.
And that's all our questions for today. And we're just at 2 minutes past 12. So bang on schedule.
Wow. Thank you all for your questions. If as we said, you have more questions, or if I didn't answer the questions, or if I can try to explain things differently, you can drop us a line and we will try to clear things up for you. Thank you so much, Sheila.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate everyone's time today.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a good rest of day.
Yeah.
Bye all.